Hey there, quirky folks! I'm your host, Anna, and today we're going to compare Black Adam with other superhero movies of the past. Dwayne Johnson claimed that
the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
But that didn't happen, and Black Adam has failed to even break even at the box office. There are a couple of major reasons for why Black Adam did not impress a lot of people, and we're going to dive deeper into those. First of all, the writing of the film was totally average. The movie had a lot of video game level dialogues.
The fate of Kandar be decided by a true battle of champions.
Let's end this.
Beat his ass.
But the second and main problem was that it lacked originality. I'll admit that Black Adam was a really good-looking movie in terms of CGI. Dwayne Johnson put in a lot of work on his Black Adam physique as he got in the best shape of his life. And a huge chunk of the film's budget also went into the VFX to produce amazing shots like these. Another fresh element added in was the submarine that Hawkman's jet turned into. But apart from that, there were so many instances in Black Adam that were almost exactly similar to other superhero movies. It seemed as if Dwayne Johnson and director Jaume Collet-Cerra just sat in a room together and cherry-picked certain scenes and elements from the past superhero movies. Then they mashed all of them together to add in Black Adam. My point is that almost everything we saw in the movie has been done before, and that too in a better way. Hawkman and Adam's air battle reminded me of Superman vs. Zod, which happened 9 years ago. Then, Black Adam just feels like yet another character added into the long list of glowing eyes superheroes. But the first major similarity I found came with Eternium. Black Adam added a mineral called Eternium, which is different from what it is in the comics. Over there, Eternium is the name given to shards of matter cast off from the Rock of Eternity. But in Black Adam, it is a mineral that is supposed to be mined out of Kahndaq. In fact, it is only found in Kahndaq. And that really makes it a replacement for MCU's vibranium, which was only found in Wakanda before Talokan got introduced. Another similarity of Eternium was that it weakened Black Adam just like Kryptonite weakened Superman. This part is consistent with the comics, but again, as I said, we've already seen something like this with Superman, so the plot element doesn't seem as fresh with Black Adam. Next up, another major similarity came with slow-mo battle. Back in 2014, we got X-Men Days of Future Past, which showcased the legendary Quicksilver scene. It took advantage of the little elements within the kitchen to add in a bit of humor. Then 2 years later in X-Men Apocalypse, we got a similar scene. But this time it was a bit bigger in scale, as Quicksilver saved all the mutants from the exploding mansion. After that, Logan put an interesting spin on this ultra slow-mo filming technique, as instead of making one character super fast, it made the surroundings super slow for Logan. Then Zack Snyder's Justice League had a couple of similar scenes with the hot dog rescue and the fight between Superman and the Flash. So you see, this trope is already overdone. Black Adam did it on a much grander scale when he fought the Intergang in his own slow-motion sequence. It was another well-shot scene, but it felt almost exactly like the Quicksilver one with music and comedic elements added in it. On top of that, Black Adam even used Hulk's trademark Thunderclap. In fact, both Hulk and She-Hulk have used this move before Black Adam. Next up, we've got the intro of JSA.
I didn't bring a passport.
We don't need passports.
When Amanda Waller asked Hawkman who was on the team, he kept listing names one by one. But it was a quick intro as he briefly described who they were.
Maxine Hunk, aka Cyclone. Wind manipulation powers, computer skills, smart as hell. Al Rothstein, nephew to the original Atom Smasher. He inherited his uncle's powers.
This was just like Amanda Waller introducing the members of the Suicide Squad in the first film.
Harley Quinn.
Even the powers of the Suicide Squad members were listed beside them, so we could quickly know who those characters were and just move on with the movie. After this, we spotted a major similarity between Black Adam and Drax's personality.
Why would I put my finger on his throat?
What?
You would have thought that Black Adam would be a little aggressive and angrier in his demeanor, but he almost felt stone cold like Arnold's Terminator or even Drax from the MCU. We saw Drax not getting the hang of metaphors.
Finger to the throat means death. Metaphor. Sorta.
He is too literal and a little dumb.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
While Black Adam isn't dumb in particular, he didn't really understand how sarcasm works.
You said you wouldn't hurt the prisoners.
That was sarcasm.
No, technically it was just a lie.
And that made his portrayal similar to his former WWE colleague's Marvel role. Also, if you think about it, Black Adam and Amon's companionship felt like John Connor and the Terminator. This little trope where a kid that's full of life humanizes a stone-cold killer is a pretty common one. And Black Adam has also used it. Next up, there was almost nothing original about Hawkman. In terms of leadership, Carter Hall was a very generic and conventional leader of any superhero team, reminding us of someone like a Cyclops. He is also a rich billionaire that's surrounded by technology, and that aspect brings both Batman and Iron Man to mind. He consistently supported the idea that heroes don't kill, and that's what Batman usually did before Zack Snyder's version. But his nth metal technology was more along Iron Man's alley. Just like Iron Man used his nanotech to suit up, create weapons and a shield, Hawkman used his nth metal to suit up while falling, creating different kinds of weapons and a shield. But the nth metal is also a very special indestructible element that's alien to Earth, so that makes it very similar to MCU's vibranium. Guess what? We've seen a very popular vibranium shield in the MCU. And over here, Hawkman created an nth metal shield of his own. Also, when you speak of Hawkman, you have to talk about his jet which emerges from underneath his mansion. And you just can't deny the similarity of this particular scene with the X-Men. We've seen the sleek jet of the X-Men emerge from Professor X's mansion just like that. Now next up, we also spotted some major similarities between Dr. Fate and Doctor Strange. Clearly, these two characters are counterparts of each other, so they had to feel a bit similar. But why did Dr. Fate have to use the kind of spells that we've already seen with Doctor Strange? He entered into his illusion with a mirror dimension style transition. While the illusion segment felt similar to how Thanos used the reality stone, Dr. Fate mostly used the spell to create multiple copies of himself in trying to hold back Black Adam and then Sabbac. And where have we seen that spell before? Obviously in Infinity War when Doctor Strange tried to restrain Thanos. They could have done so much more with Dr. Fate, but somehow restricted him to using only a few spells. And then there was the heads-up display scene, which straight up reminds you of Tony's HUD display. Up next, we've got Atom Smasher. We've already seen Ant-Man grow into Giant Man, and even the Atom grow huge in the CW shows. But apart from the obvious similarities in his powers with these superheroes of the past, Al Rothstein's character was exactly like Barry Allen. He entered the team as an inexperienced kid that's full of life, but also a little afraid.
Okay, I got this. Right, okay, yeah, here's the thing. See, I'm afraid of bugs.
Rothstein was clumsy, and so was Barry. And then there's Rothstein's constant need to eat something.
Snacks? Oh, nice.
That's exactly like Barry Allen. Up next, another major commonality came with resizing Dwayne Johnson. The movie needed to use CGI to fit Dwayne Johnson's face into another man's body in the scenes where Teth Adam was depowered. It does work with the narrative, as Teth Adam would be smaller and weaker without his godly powers. But where have we seen the use of CGI exactly like this? You'd remember that it happened 11 years ago in Captain America: The First Avenger, where Chris Evans was resized. His face was fit into a smaller man's body to show Skinny Steve. Up next we've got the underwater prison. As I mentioned earlier, the submarine was a cool new addition, but it was used to reach an underwater prison. The design of this prison surely felt fresh and more advanced, but the idea of an underwater prison has already been used to create the raft within the MCU. Then there's the focus on catchphrases.
It's a little outdated, and you definitely need a catchphrase.
Throughout the movie, Black Adam failed time and time again while learning to use his catchphrase.
And tell them that the Man in Black... Tell them the Man in Black sent you.
This element felt pretty similar to the way Free Guy focused a lot upon catchphrases in the end.
Catchphrase.
Although catchphrase is a pretty cool catchphrase.
I admit that Black Adam didn't exactly copy Free Guy here, but I was still reminded of the scene. So I believe the point needed to be added in. Up next, there were several copied elements in the final battle. Dr. Fate created a massive energy dome over the location of the final fight, and this energy dome was used for a defensive purpose in Justice League. After that, we had Dr. Fate's disintegration. He died exactly like every other MCU hero in Infinity War. Then Black Adam gave us yet another skybeam in the final battle after we've seen around 10 of them already. It brought in another disposable army after the Avengers Age of Ultron, Suicide Squad, Justice League, Infinity War, and the Suicide Squad. And guess what? That army also got disintegrated just like Thanos' army in Endgame. But before that, the people of Kahndaq united to fight the forces of hell just like the cops united in The Dark Knight Rises. Now for the final point we've got other similar shots and tropes. Black Adam falling through the field with an intergang bike felt like Superman punching Zod through the field, and Thor falling in a field back in the Avengers. Then the shot of Teth Adam floating unconsciously underwater was almost exactly like the shot of Clark Kent floating underwater in Man of Steel. And finally, I want to talk about the narrative trope of heroes who kill and heroes who don't.
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
This has literally been done dozens of times already. We had the same argument between Daredevil and the Punisher, and even in the Dark Knight franchise.
No guns, no killing.
Where's the fun in that?
This right here is the whole point of this video. Black Adam does everything that has been done in the past and hardly offers anything new and original. It came out 15 years after The Rock was cast as Black Adam, and the final result was just a mashup of other films. This would have been a remarkable movie if it came out a decade ago. But then, the film wouldn't have been the same because it would not have had scenes and story elements to rip off. With that being said, I am bringing this video of Black Adam's failure to an end. Hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed it. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one.